Okay, so this is the activity 12 practice starting on page 159, and it covers lessons 12.1, 12.2, and 12.3. So I'm going to break this video up and stop at each lesson breakage because I did not assign any of these problems, so these are just some extra practice. Let me grab some paper because I think I'm going to have to do some side work. There won't be enough room on my little tiny paper here. So for 12.1, number 1, it says Owen found that he could use the equation y equals 3x plus 24. Y equals negative 3x plus 24 to model the water leaking from his bottle. Sounds familiar, like a little experiment that we did, or that I did in my kitchen. What is the slope and what does it represent in this problem situation? Be sure to include the units. So the slope is negative 3. So slope is negative 3. And the slope indicates that water is leaking from the bottle at a rate of probably centimeters. We're going to say it's 3 centimeters because that's what we rated or measured in our leaky bottle experiment. So we're going to say the rate is 3 centimeters per second leaking from the bottle. So the bottle is decreasing in water, if that is helpful. So that's what I wrote there. The slope is negative 3. The rate is 3 centimeters seconds leaking from the bottle. Okay. Number 2, what is the y-intercept and what does it represent in this problem situation? Be sure to include units. So the y-intercept here is right here. So y-intercept is 0, 24. And it represents that the height before any water leaked was 24 centimeters. Okay, so that was number 1. This is number 2. Okay, number 3 says, explain to Owen what would have to happen to the bottle for the slope to change to negative 4. All right, so if the slope is now negative 4, basically either a larger hole was in the bottle, so that it had a greater rate of water leaking. That's the only thing I can think of that would make the water leak faster, is to have a larger hole in the bottle. If you can think of another reason that it could come out faster, the bottle was squeezed maybe by his books or something like that. But anyway, a greater rate of change. A line with a slope of negative 2. Okay, so it looks like we're moving on. This is not the word problem anymore. A line with a slope of negative 2 goes through the point 3, 5. It also goes through the point negative 2, p. What is the value of p? Okay, so we have a multiple choice. Let's cover up those choices and work the problem first. Okay, so I know that I have a little chart here where the rate of change is negative 2, and I'm going to put it over 1 so we can kind of go through the x. If this was a table of x's and y's right here, I went from 3 to negative 2 on the x's. That is more than 1. So I need to either fill in the chart. So go from, let's do a different chart here. 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2. I either have to fill in all of these going one at a time on my x, and then decreasing by negative 2 here all the way down my chart. This is kind of a long way of doing it. I hope you see that. Or I could make an equation and just figure out what 0 is, which would just be to stopping here. So if I could find out what that y-intercept is, I could then plug in -2 into my equation. So we have two different ways we can do it. You have to decide if you're comfortable with my equation here. So if I start at 3 and go down 1 to 2, that means I went -1 here. That means my opposite has to be to add on this side because this is a negative slope, right? So only one has to be negative, either the numerator or the denominator, but not both. So if I go down from 3 to 2, I'm subtracting 1 on the x, so I need to add 2 over here. So I went from 5 to 7, and now I'm just going to add again, add 2 more, add 2 more. So this is my y-intercept. So if I already know my slope is -2, and my y-intercept is 11. Now, we didn't talk about slope and y-intercept in 12.1 very much. So we're kind of jumping ahead to 12.3 by writing an equation. But since I know the information and we've already done all 3 lessons, I think this is okay. If not, you would just continue on with your chart. And your answer would be 15. So this is continuing on with my chart. Here, I would go ahead and put in the -2 and then find out that indeed I get 15 as a rate of change there. Okay, so the answer is A, 15. All right, so let's see. A line with a slope of 3 goes through the point -2, -4. It also goes through the point 0, P. What is the value of P? So same thing, let's go ahead and make a little chart. I don't know if I'm even getting this into the picture here. Let's see. So number 5, we have a slope of 3 over 1 now, and we have something that goes through the point -2, -4. We also know at some point it goes through 0, P. Okay, so now we have to go -1. So this is adding 1. This would be adding 3 on this side because of this slope. Slope is y over x, remember that. So if I add 3 to -4, that gives me a -1. And if I add 3 to -1, that gives me a +2. So I'm going to look over on number 5. This was not a multiple choice. And I got it right. Yay! So P equals 2 for this one. Last but not least, sorry I have a stuffy, sniffly nose, is number 6. Number 6 says, find the slope of the line that passes through the data points on the table. Okay, I don't know if I can get both of these in my picture here. Let me see if I can tilt the camera so you can see both. Oh, all right. It's about as good as I can get it here. So hopefully you can follow along in your book on page 159. Number 6. Find the slope of the line that passes through the data points on the table. All right, so I need to find the slope of this chart. I'm going to recreate it so that you can see it a little bit clearer. But I really only need 2 points, so I'm going to ignore the third one because it has a fraction in it anyway, and I don't like that, and neither do most of my students. So change in y over change in x is slope. Change in y, I'm going from -7 to 5. So I'm going from all the way up. That is basically 5 plus 7 because I'm going from -7 to 0. That moves 7. And then moving 5 more. So that means I went 12 for my change in y. I went up 12. But my y, I'm going from -4 to 0. Again, that is up 4. Now, this is not reduced. 12 divided by 4 is a nice even number of 3, which is 3 over 1. Okay, so for number 6, 3 is actually an answer, so the answer is B. All right, so that's all for the Activity 12 practice for 12.1 lesson. You can watch also for 12.2 and for 12.3.